initiative in IT that you call Operating Model 2.0. Tell us a little bit about what that is.
So the fundamental premise is and you have to first believe in the following for this to even connect with anybody in this audience. Do you believe in the future that cloud is real? And if you're bullish on that, and you're bullish on market-provided services, then you have no choice but to start to think about, well, what would an IT organization have to do, act, be organized differently to work in a world like that? So that's kind of premise number one. Premise number two is most of our IT organizations, by very purposeful design over the years, have been set up in what I'll call these very sophisticated service stacks. You know, we have an incredibly efficient data center set of people, network people, application people, etc. And we've all gotten very smart at how to take cost out and to bring incredible value to the business, but they're still stacks. And they all have their service levels. And what we're trying to do in Operating Model 2.0 is to say, we have to solve for a world where we're going to need to learn to live in that stacks, but we're going to want to flip it completely on end to end and move to what are called business outcomes. The great example I give of a business outcome is, imagine a trading report that you have to get out at 11 a.m. every day for your traders to take positions. Your servers, your systems could be up 99.9% of the time, but if they're down every day at 5 to 11, and you're not able to get that report out, it doesn't matter, the SLAs can't be met. So in Operating Model 2.0, we say we don't care about SLAs anymore. We do, but we do in a different way. What we really care about is getting that trading report out. And in doing that, you have to have IT professionals that know how to think about an entire stack, every supplier that sits in that stack, and everything that goes on there. So in Operating Model 2.0, it's working today, solving for the cloud tomorrow, solving for managed provided services, and moving your organization to a business outcome mentality.
I want to dig into the business outcome approach a little bit. And isn't it contentious for IT to take credit for a business outcome being achieved?
Well, so for us, we don't have that conversation around who takes credit. Where the conversation we are having is, do we as IT professionals know what business outcomes matter most? And this is actually quite interesting, as I suspect many of you could probably relate to this. Going to the business, I don't care if it's your engineering department, your manufacturing, your finance, and saying what matters to you most, and then trying to get them to really articulate the business outcomes that will make the biggest difference is a really challenging and difficult conversation. My biggest fear is that we get so wrapped up as IT professionals in terms of the technology, in terms of the service deliverables, that we lose sight of the end goal, which is that outcome. So we're spending a lot of time right now with the business trying to get them to articulate what really matters most. And it's not about service availability or storage or networks. It's about, a fuel truck coming up to a fuel depot, getting their credit check, getting the right fuel in, being sent off, and having that done in a certain period of time, and having that work flawless. That's an example of a business outcome.
Okay. I want to go back to explore a little bit about the IT silos that you talked about. In order to achieve those business outcomes, you'd really have to refocus those people on, in fact, what is the objective of the organization, rather than, their silo view of database management world or network world or whatever it happens to be. How do you change that, deeply ingrained culture in the IT organization where people are loyal to their profession as opposed to loyal to the industry?
It's a great question, and I'll tell you, for all the aspirational ways I'm talking about Operating Model 2.0, we're also quite pragmatic that there's not a blueprint out there. And it's the number one question employees are asking. So employees are asking two fundamental things. So if I'm not working on cloud or market provided services, am I going to become irrelevant over the long run and less important to the organization if my expertise is data centers or databases or whatever? And the other one is, frankly, many IT professionals are not wired or trained in their trade to think about the whole stack. They're actually trained to be very, very good at networking. And we're finding that is a huge gap right now, is how do we create this next generation of people who are going to have to be business savvy, i.e. be able to understand what a business outcome is, but able to be very technical and be able to talk to the various parts of the IT organization in terms of building out that stack. And I would say we have not found the silver bullet yet of how best to do that. We're in the really early throes of this.
Okay. I want to jump into the technical for a minute and jump into the technical business view of the world. I know that BP has done some incredible things in terms of supercomputers and digitalization in general. I'd like to understand your view of what that means and how that's realized within BP.
Well, I could go on and on. I'll just give one small example. So high performance computing really matters in this business. The ability to image the Earth, the ability to image what's going on underneath the seabed is incredibly complex and hard to do. We just opened, I guess about 3 weeks ago, the new High Performance Computing Center for BP, which is the fourth largest computing center in the whole world now. Main memory in this computer center is measured in petabytes, not storage, the memory of this. To bring it to life, so imagine if you're in the middle of the Oman Desert, let's say, and your job is to run seismic. One of those pictures I think you saw up there was this large, looked like a tank. And that tank does vibration analysis. You take that data and then you image it and you try to get a seismic reading. To take a reading of, well, let's just say the size of this room just 4 or 5 years ago would have taken you 4 to 5 months, just the compute power to be able to get the seismic reading. Today we are now doing that in 4 to 5 hours. And in the next 4 to 5 years, we'll be doing that in 4 to 5 minutes.
Okay, so one of the things we like to do in these interviews is to change it around. We've got so many things that people have asked us to talk about. We have what we call a rapid fire round. So we're going to ask you now a number of quick questions, and our format for today is bull or bear. So we want you to say, are you bullish on this thing or are you bearish on this thing? Do you think it's going to be big or do you think it's nah, And give us about 30 seconds for each one on Dana's view on this thing. All right, you up for that?
Okay.
So I'll go first. Are you bullish or bearish on chief digital officers?
Bullish.
Why?
I'm sitting here thinking about what isn't being digitized right now in oil and gas. And to think about not having somebody who's focused purely on that. I can't even get my head around how we'd go about doing that if we didn't have somebody that was focused just on digitization.
Bullish or bearish on big data?
Better be bullish on it in the oil and gas industry.
Okay, fair enough.
Or they might want to think, well, they probably going to already get another CIO, so I guess it wouldn't matter. But no, clearly, very, very bullish on big data.
Bullish or bearish on the idea of re-internalizing, bringing all of the IT back in-house?
I'm going to cheat. That's a huge all depends for anybody in this room.
All depends.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, in the situation they're in, re-internalizing it makes absolute sense. For others, I suspect who might be sitting in this room, outsourcing what they already have internalized might make sense. I don't think there's a generic answer that works for everybody on that.
You get one free pass.
Okay.
Okay. Bullish or bearish on corporate use of public cloud?
Somewhat bearish on that right now. Yeah, this is the sort of thing where I'm sure you'll remind me 2 years ago from now that I've said I was bearish on it. I think the reality is this is going to fix itself, but right now today I'm bearish, meaning I'm not going to be an early mover into that space.
But in the future?
In the future, I might have a different view on that.
Good. Bullish or bearish on wearable technology?
I can see it in certain industries. I mean, we do it today our refineries or out in our deep water rigs or on pipelines. So I would say I'm bullish on it. We'll wait and see what it means to the broader set of industries.
Okay. Bullish or bearish on alternative currencies like Bitcoin?
Oh, make me a bear on that one.
Bullish or bearish on chief data officers?
Yeah, absolutely, clearly bullish on it, but we better get really darn clear by what we think that is, and what we think the role is. I like to call them almost data brokers, and if that's what we mean, the person who thinks about all aspects of the life cycle of data, then I'm quite bullish on that concept.
And since we're here in Barcelona, and being a long-term resident of Barcelona, I have to ask this question. Are you bullish or bearish on FC Barcelona?
Chelsea.
Too bad.
Now, one of the other things we did this time is we thought it would be interesting to hear your story, but also to hear what questions other oil CIOs would ask you. So we went around and asked a few oil CIOs questions. And for this section, I don't really want to tell you who the oil CIOs are, because that might be a little private. I'll just give you the questions.
Just raise your hand if you're
the questions that they asked, and what would you answer? So the first question that came from an oil CIO was, "Wouldn't you rather be at Chevron?" More seriously,
I'd rather be on the beach in Tahiti, but I don't think that's a choice for me.
Louis for Chevron
Yes.
was asking that question, but you, in saying that, you do actually talk with the other oil CIOs, don't you?
Yeah, we actually formed a super major benchmarking group, and I got to tell you, I am a huge advocate of this idea of spending time in whatever industry you're in out there, and really getting to know your peers. This has nothing to do with from a competition standpoint. This is just trying to understand where in the heck are you versus others of your peers in a like industry. And it's been absolutely phenomenal and eye-opening and even humbling at times about what you can learn just by listening to your peers in the industry.
Can I just ask the audience at this point? Dana's saying that the big oil CIOs do talk to each other reasonably frequently. Can I just ask you, do you actually talk to your direct competitors on a regular basis? Please raise your hand if you do.